Tiger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening, Paul Cooney here, along with Charlie Mulgrew and also Mark Guidi. Rangers drop points late in the game against Motherwell 1-1. What a match last night, live on Sky. And moments later, Celtic collect all 3 points late in the game against Livy. We'll get there, we're just getting the levels right for you here. So Celtic, Oxlade Chamberlain, it's a debut that he will never forget. It twists, it turns. Mark Guidi, top of the table. Hearts the night before, late goal in the derby. What do you make of it? Have you had time to draw breath? What's your thoughts after last night's closing moments at Celtic and also at Motherwell?
Yeah, well, full of twists and turns, Paul. At one point, Rangers are a goal up. They're playing against 10 men. They're cruising. They're comfortable. Albeit Motherwell were playing well, but you'd say Rangers will see it through. And Celtic had to get into stoppage time to beat bottom of the table, Livingston. So at one stage, you're looking like Rangers are going to really push on towards Hearts, and Celtic are going to drop back a bit. And then 5 minutes later, it's a reverse. So we knew this midweek was going to be critical, Paul. It's the same on Sunday. Rangers v Hearts at Ibrox, Kilmarnock v Celtic. Come 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock on Sunday, we'll have a clearer picture of where everything stands. But if Rangers don't win on Sunday against Hearts, the title is not in their hands. They're looking for favours against Hearts. So it's critical for Rangers that they beat Hearts on Sunday to keep it in their hands.
Charlie, where do you want to start? I think you go for it just now. We'll fix this, Mike. Yeah, it's getting better. Charlie,
first of all, I was at Tynecastle for the Hibs game, and Hearts were pretty poor in the game. Yep. They got it over the line and they won the game. I said after the game, I don't fancy Hearts for the league. Still, to a lot of Hearts fans' surprise, they're only too happy with me as usual. Is it not the first time this year?
I don't blame them in some ways, Charlie.
Yeah. Listen, of course they're going to be annoyed. I can only see it how I see it from my experience, based on what I've saw and how I see the game. Now, Hearts for me, I mean, Celtic scored last minute against Dundee. They scored last minute against last night against Livingston. Yeah. But they have 12 shots in target and 8 shots in target. Now, Hearts had 2 shots in target, didn't even have a chance against Hibs, and they scored in the last minute. Fair play, take nothing away from them. They showed a right good attitude to fight to the end. Probably a lot of that's to do with Del McInnes and his attitude and putting that onto the players, obviously. Good manager, good man manager, knows how to get the best out of Hearts. But they can't, for me, they've done it for 2/3 of the season, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. I just don't think they continue it for the full season. That's my opinion. Now, last night, Celtic, brilliant, going score that last minute goal, but they weren't great in the game. But they can only get better, Celtic, in terms of performances, and Martin will be pushing for that. They should have scored 3 or 4 early on in the game. They didn't do it.
And why didn't they, Charlie? What's going on?
That's what I mean. There needs to be a ruthlessness early on in the game. They need to understand that. I'm sure that the chances they had early in the game, if they're doing in the last 10 minutes, one of them would have been put away, because you realise at that moment these are critical. Celtic need to have that desire for the start of games, because we're in a title race now, and they need to start putting the chance away and putting teams to bed, because even teams like Livingston, who have not offered a lot this year, as long as it stays 1-0, they always feel that they've got a chance, and they did get a chance and they scored it. Rangers, watching Rangers, Motherwell dominated the game. The thing for me is, I thought they would have dominated it even more, but they didn't. They dominated it. They dominated the game. I thought Rangers actually defended alright at times, and Motherwell never had a lot of clear-cut chances, but with Motherwell they never give up, and really impressive, going down to 10 men, still dominating and in control of the game, and got what they deserved from the game.
You couldn't have written it, could you? Where do you want to go, Mark? Well, we go Stephen Welsh in a Celtic jersey a few weeks ago, playing in the Cup on loan, wanted to go back to Motherwell, and my goodness, it worked out for the well last night, bringing him back.
Yeah, Motherwell played very well, Paul. They created a number of chances. Rangers had a chance. Chermiti had a chance chance they make it 2-0. He's fluffed his lines, but yeah, on the balance of play and considering how they still kept going at Rangers, Motherwell were absolutely worthy of a point, if not more. And I now think, Paul, we've spoken a lot, particularly in the window last month, about the importance of number 9s. It could well be the battle of the three clubs at the top, how it works out. Hearts losing Shankland, I think he's still out for another 4 or 5 weeks, and Celtic and Rangers both looking for number 9s in the window. Chermiti now, Paul, I know he get the 2 goals against Celtic, 2 brilliant goals, but I think you need to take Chermiti at the time. He's not a number 9 that's going to win you the title. So whether you give Nadir the run, or you give Miovski, but you need to take Chermiti out the team. If Dani Rohl sticks with Chermiti, Rangers will not win the league.
Darren's on as well, a Rangers fan. That's what he's saying, Charlie. Why did they not start with Nadiri? Why did he put in Chermiti, who's done next to nothing since the Celtic game?
I totally agree. My only excuse can be for Dani Rohl is he's trying to ease him in fitness wise. That's the only thing I can think of. Although he did get a lot of game time against Queen's Park, so I'd imagine he should be ready. But I don't know why Chermiti's still playing there. I think if Chermiti had Raskin's chance, I wouldn't have fancied Chermiti to A, make the run, and B, to finish it. Because when I looked up and saw the chance and I seen it was Raskin and he put it away, I wasn't surprised. Chermiti doesn't look like somebody that can score the chances that even when they do come his way.
Alex Oxlade Chamberlain, so much was said about him, Charlie. You couldn't have written that, could you? A minute into injury time, and Celtic didn't look as though they were going to score, did they?
No, you couldn't. He's made a big impact already, and if he does nothing else, he's made a huge impact. With that signing's been worthwhile already for me. I'm sure he will do more. He showed a bit of class. The class for me in that is how quick he took his touch with loads of bodies around him and then finished it. That's no easy. That's easy to try and take another touch or try and make it perfect. Bang, bang. That shows the class of how the highest level he's played at, Champions League winner, and somebody that can have an impact. I'm glad he gets some game time, and the fitter he gets, the more he'll make an impact with Celtic.
What was Hatate thinking last night, Mark? That was it's almost bizarre. The penalty. It's on his blind side, but you would expect more from him not to get caught that way. Just a routine clearance. But I think that's been kind of fairly typical of Hatate this season, Paul. Not necessarily giving away penalty kicks, but he's not been up to the high standards that he was in the previous couple of years. Like we've said before, it's down to timing. They should have sold him in the summer. He'd been excellent for 3.5 years, but at some point you need to move them on for their own sake and for the good of the team. However, he's there at least to the end of the season. He will have a part to play. We'll see what the injury's like with Engels, but Hatate is not the influence that he once was on the Celtic team, and Celtic need to be careful how they use him and how they try and get the best out of him, because at times this season, in fact too many times this season, he has looked disinterested.
It's not an ability thing with Hatate, we all know that, because we've all seen him be brilliant at Celtic top. It's an attitude, whether he doesn't want to be at Celtic anymore, whether he got a move never transpired that he thought it would, or whether he's just had enough, I don't know. But things like that, when you don't approach the game with the right attitude, things like that happen. It's not a coincidence you start swinging legs at balls in the box and you give away penalties.
For Rangers fans, what are you thinking? You know the number 0808 17 17 700. Motherwell hadn't lost a goal at home in 116 days. The game was only 6 minutes old when the goal came from Nico Raskin, but Rangers couldn't capitalise, couldn't get a second. Motherwell down to 10 men later on, and then it was Stephen Welsh who scored. Keep the mic there please, that's good. Let's hear from Dani Rohl, let's hear from all the managers. The title race, this is a huge blow.
I think I said this before the game, of course. We dropped 2 points in our situation. It's not nice. The good thing is we have on Sunday the next opportunity, and of course we have to. This is when you come from so many points behind. There's no time for rest. You have to be on front foot again and again and again, and you have to win games. But I said this as well. Today is not the title race over. It's a little bit a blow because you dropped the 2 points very late. But on Sunday we have the next opportunity. If our reaction is right and we take the right result on Sunday, it's not an easy one, but still a chance for us. Then we will see.
That is going to be some game on Sunday. We'll talk about it very shortly. Let's hear from Martin O'Neill. Well, everyone's saying it. You couldn't have written it, could you? Oxlade Chamberlain comes on and he scores in the 91st minutes. Martin O'Neill, what did he feel at that moment?
That I think he was going to be as dramatic as that and scoring the goal. But I think that he can give us something. No question about that. He's a really decent player when he gets up to speed with things. He's only done a couple of days, and I couldn't be more pleased with him. He's made a big impact, believe it or not, even in the training sessions with the rest of the players, which is that's always a good sign. And yeah, I'm delighted that he's in, and I think that when he's properly fit, he'll be great. Frantic, you're right. He was frantic on the pitch, but he was frantic in the dugout as well. So it was great. It was just the way. And I was kind of right behind it when I saw it. The minute left his foot, I thought, this is it, you know.
Let's take the first call tonight. As Gary is on in the Gorbals. Hi, Gary.
Evening, lads. How we doing?
Good evening. Yeah, good,
Gary.
thank you.
Hi, Gary.
What about that last night? Celtic were, it was going to 1-1, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, very similar to the Dundee game. You know, when you look at it, it's been dreadful. I've been doing it for weeks. It has been absolutely dire. Yeah, like, I don't think Livingston were really going to pose any threat in terms of going forward. Obviously, they kept their shape very well. I thought Marvin Bartley, you know, the way he set them up and the way they played the game, I thought they kept their shape really, really well. It was just really frustrating because every time we got near the goal, we just seemed to hit it straight down the throat of Jerome Pryor, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was getting to the stage where even when you got the goal, you thought, right, just push on, try and get a second, try and get a third. This is when you can get your goal difference up and try and claw that back with Rangers and Hearts. But the longer the game went on, it just started to kind of fluster into that Dundee game where it didn't look like you were going to get anything else out of the game. And then obviously, you know, as you say, a touch of class from the Ox as well. No back left. Just, I think what you say is right when you say that just the timing of the touch, you know, because last night a lot of the players were taking like a week to hit a shot. Last night,
why is that, Charlie? What are you seeing with Celtic? They know they've still got a chance of the title, but it's the bottom club.
Yeah,
and they nearly blew it.
It's so difficult when there's so many players behind the ball to get your shot away. So I think Oxlade Chamberlain showed his class by getting that touch and quickly getting out his feet. He would have known that he never had much time to get that shot away. But Celtic are on a great run of form. If you look at how they're playing in games, they're not playing great, but they're grinding out results. And I just keep waiting. The last time I saw Celtic play really well was the Dundee United game when Martin O'Neill first came back. They blew them away. The way they pressed them, the way they had the ball in Dundee United's half, they were ruthless with their finishing and killed Dundee United off. I think that since then they've no hit the heights, and I'm just keep waiting for them to make that run at the title by having a good run of form and sort of bringing that performance that they had against Dundee United. It needs to come soon, because you can't continue to score last minute goals. It's not sustainable over a long period of time. You need to take your chances and be more ruthless and kill teams off with those chances, and then that allows you to play and everything flows from there.
Gary, here is the match winner. You called him the Ox.
Yeah, massive. You know, whenever I go anywhere, I want to win, and I'm sure everyone in that dressing room feels the same way. Yeah, that's just part of my DNA and part of what motivates me for sure. But first things first, you know, just to get out on the pitch for me there and be able to help the lads, you know, take 3 points tonight. That's massive. And yeah, I can just build from here.
Mark, what can you say about Celtic? What did you think as you watched it? Obviously, the Rangers game was on Sky. I don't know how much of the actual Celtic. I saw the highlights later.
Sure,
I was listening on radio as well. And you thought, this is going nowhere.
Yeah, for Celtic, you're expecting them to win comfortably. I was at Celtic Park on Saturday in the Scottish Cup game, watched them against Dundee, and they've got the majority of play, but McCracken and Dundee goals hardly had anything to do, and then, you know, Celtic came up trumps in the closing stages in extra time. And then you're looking at Livingston, you think, with the greatest respect, 1-1 out of 25, Celtic are going to be comfortable, but it was certainly the score line it wasn't, but they're wasteful in front of goal, so they need to be better and more clinical in the final third. But Paul, what you're seeing as Hearts, Rangers and Celtic, you look at it, and we've always said, and we're not trying to come up with cliches, it's factual, when you're on the road, it's very, very difficult. So you look at Rangers last 2 games on the road, they've dropped points, Motherwell and Hibs. Hearts on the road last week, lose at St Mirren, albeit they're down to 10 men. So you see that, and that's like St Mirren's in the bottom 4, Celtic at home to Livingston last night, bottom team. It's nervy, as Sir Alex would say, it's squeaky bum time, and it is proper squeaky bum. That's why Saturday's Sunday afternoon is going to be crucial in the race, and we'll see where things shape up from there. But it's almost like who's going to be the least poor at the 3 teams as they get into the closing stages of the season. Once we come out the international break next month, you're heading towards the split. Then you'll see what the fixtures bring. You've got 7 or 8 games to go. 24 points to play for. That's when we'll really see what it's all about. But right now, I don't think any of the 3 of them you could say, they're going to be champions. They are showing what champions are all about. Yes, they're digging in, they're getting results. Hearts a last minute winner, Celtic a last minute winner, but there needs to be more than that. You can't continue that for 11 or 12 games to become champions. It simply won't happen. And for Rangers, like we say, you need a good number 9, and right now Chermiti is not the answer for Rangers. Dani Rohl needs to address that. And Sivan Chara had to be more ruthless last night.
He did, Paul. It was a really good chance. As I said, sometimes if a chance comes to you early in a game, there's a bit of I don't know, coldness or rust or whatever you want to call it, I don't know, but he never put it away. But that, to be a Celtic striker, you need to be ruthless in that final third and put that in the net, because you know that the longer a team goes in touching distance, either 1-0 or 0-0 or whatever, then it becomes harder because they get more and more people around you in the box. Then Chara should have scored that goal. So I agree with Mark. It feels like you don't really 100% fancy Celtic, Rangers, Hearts in any game they go into. That's what it feels like. It's like it's and nothing's more evident than last night. Celtic at home to Livingston, and everybody had it done for a 4-0, 5-0, and they don't do it. So it's going to be a real nervy ending, and it can it's right on a knife's edge.
Gary, your manager was asked about, do you look at the league table?
I've always heard this about, that managers, when asked these questions way back years ago, and saying, well, I don't really look at the table. I've looked at this table all the time, Unfortunately, it never changes. It never seems to change at all. But I do, So I think it's idiocy, really, to say that you don't look at the table. Of course you do. But it's one thing looking at the table, it's fine, and staring at it, but the other thing is trying to do something about it, and that's all we can do. I'm not in control of anything else. I'm not even sure I'm in control here either, but at the end of it all, that's all we can do ourselves.
Gary, the table, 57 points to Hearts after the 26, Rangers on 52. That was a big blow to Rangers last night, and Motherwell have not really spoken about them, maybe the best team in the league in terms of playing football, and Celtic on 51, so with 25 games gone, you can take, and Kelly, what about John Jules, hat-trick last night, so your game on Sunday is also going to be, I think it'll be a belter, it'll be hard to predict.
Yeah, I think, as you say, it is really tight at the top. I think in terms of the teams that are all up there with Hearts, Rangers and Celtic, I think the difference is Hearts obviously probably out of the 3 have been the most consistent over the season in terms of the results. Obviously, when you look at that 1-0, I know it's a late winner, but it was a derby game, so you probably take that more as not a kind of lucky win, but a well-deserved win because he didn't play great.
Sure.
But
what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen at the Rangers Hearts Rangers at the weekend? As a Celtic fan, what's your scoreline?
Anything but a Rangers win. Anything but a Rangers win.
Really? Do you not want Rangers to dent Hearts? No? Okay.
No, I'd take a draw, obviously, as long as we can beat Kilmarnock. But as I say, that could be a flip of the coin, because the last 2 games you've played 2 of the bottom teams in the league, Dundee and Livingston at home, and we've struggled twice. We've obviously scored late goals. That's the kind of results you take away from home. When you get a last-minute winner at Dens Park, you get a last-minute winner at Almondale or whatever. That's the kind of results that you want to take. You don't expect to take that at home, kind of thing. So for me, as I say, I think as long as we win on Sunday, put the pressure on Rangers or Hearts. I actually think Hearts will go there buoyant with the win. I think had they got beaten with Hibs midweek, it might have took a bit of wind out their sails, and they might have went there with their heads down a wee bit, kind of thing.
guys. Charlie?
I just wonder, Gary, when I look at the game against Hearts, Rangers and Hearts, I just wonder if Rangers can drag Hearts in closer to Celtic and Rangers. I just wonder if Hearts can deal with that. They're all right with like a 5-point cushion and 6-point cushion, which they've shown. They looked a bit nervy the other night with just a 3-point cushion. I wonder if they can be, if they get brought in it, or if somebody jumps above them. Imagine Celtic win the game in hand or whatever the way things what Rangers beat, and Celtic go above it. I wonder if Hearts can deal with that, because they've barely been off the top of the table.
Gary?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at that, obviously that game against Aberdeen is going to be pivotal. Yeah. Obviously we don't play it till the start of March, and then who knows what the table's going to look like. But as I say, I think any Celtic fan realistically isn't wanting Rangers to win and pull Hearts towards us. They probably want them to cut each other's throats and take share of the spoils. I
just wonder, like, having been in the title races and understand the psychology of them, which is a big part of it, as a team go ahead of you on a Saturday and you need to catch them the Sunday. There's a lot of that going on. You're praying the result goes against them. I just think that when Hearts begin to see the finish line and they've still got a wee bit of a lead there, they can almost go right, start ticking the games off. I think Celtic and Rangers need to drag Hearts. I thought it would have happened a lot earlier than this. I think they need to get them in closer as soon as obviously they're trying this, but I think that'll really test the psychology, because I don't know if Hearts can go behind and then come again.
I'll tell you, Mark, at this part of the season, for the referees and VAR, the scrutiny is going to be intense now. I mean, look at Rangers Hearts at the weekend. It could all hinge on a controversial moment.
Paul, I have to say I think the standard of refereeing in our top flight this season has been far from unacceptable. Far too often in far too many games up and down the country, not exclusive to Celtic and Rangers, up and down the country is far from acceptable. And the point that you've just made there is so relevant, even with VAR, the mistakes that are getting made. And I genuinely, I'm concerned at the quality of referees coming through the system. I've seen a few over the past few weeks that Willie Collum, the head of refs, is trying to blood and give them a bigger atmosphere, and I totally understand that you've got to do it. It's like young footballers, but my God, some of them are miles off it.
Yeah.
They are miles off it. And again, I'll repeat, the standard of refereeing up and down the country is totally unacceptable. And right now, you can see a howler. And I'm not. There's not been many howlers, but you just see wee things in games. You think, that's basic refereeing that you should be getting right, and they're not getting it right. And it's quite concerning about it. And like I say, the next wave coming through, miles off it.
They're going to be more and more under pressure. You know what will happen, Mark? People will say you should declare who you support beforehand. It happens in England. They say who they supported as when they were young.
Yeah.
Can you see that happening here? And should that happen?
Well, I mean, I think the clubs would have the option of putting something like that on the table. I mean, I think we all speak to Celtic supporters, Rangers supporters, and both sets of supporters would like to see it. I'm pretty sure a bit of transparency. I don't have a problem if that comes into the game. It does happen in a lot of other countries. It certainly happens down south. So listen, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't know what Willie Collum would think, what the SFA would think, but I think all sorts of support. And like I say, this is not exclusive to Celtic and Rangers. I mean, I think of a decision last week at Ibrox when it's Rangers Kilmarnock and it's Tavernier on John Jules. David Dickinson's the referee. I mean, that's a decision, and that's not about Rangers losing points in the title race to help Hearts or Celtic. That's about Kilmarnock, a club fighting for its life at the bottom of the table where there's jobs in the line, and that's a clear blunder with the benefit of VAR. There's nothing there. So, like I say, too many referees coming through that are not up to it. I think Nick Walsh is the best referee in the country by a distance, but he can't referee every game himself. So there's a concern, and things need to be really looked at closely, and there needs to be, I don't know what we do, Paul, if we try and get a budget to go full time, we try and do something, but going by the evidence of what we're seeing on a week to week basis up and down the country, the referees need help. There needs to be better decision making at the top of the table, the middle of the table, and the bottom of the table.
Ian came on and made that point there. What do you feel, Charlie, about referees?
Yeah, I think it's not until somebody starts to sort of mention it where you look back and you sort of see, you just sort of get used to a lot of things that are happening. For me, watching that Motherwell Rangers game last night, I think the big decision was right. I think it was a sending off. The tackle on the Rangers player, I think it was sent. It caught him. He was a bit unlucky. Fadinger, it caught him a wee bit high. Mikey Moore high. So I can understand that sending off. But there's two fouls for me inside the box in a dangerous position where Motherwell are trying to get the ball. One where Suter's got it under his legs and he gets a foul. Another one where it's a great tackle. Suter doesn't see Maswanisi coming in his blind side and takes the ball clean as day, and he gives a foul. It's like just so frustrating because you're like, that's obviously not going to get looked at in VAR, but it's a poor decision. It's a dangerous situation for Motherwell. There's a couple of situations where Diamande should have been booked, never get booked. Like there was lots of fouling to stop the play. Motherwell are a great football inside, and I think Better Askew hit the nail on the head last night. You want to see good football, and Rangers kept spoiling and understand the dark arts of the game, but they need to be punished then if it's continually happening. So I think that last night is fresh in my mind. There was the big decision was right, but the wee simple things should have been need to be brushed up on.
Gary, thanks so much for your call. 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
A few gremlins there in the first half, Charlie, but nothing will stop us now, will it? Do you think that's the opposition?
What's that?
Do you think they're trying to stop us there with just a few gremlins in the first 20 minutes?
Yeah.
But I think we've got it sorted now.
Good. Yeah.
The headlines tonight.
You've never sounded better, Paul. You've never sounded better.
When you can't hear me? That could be the new way. Do you think that's what James is up to, the programme controller? At last he's fading me down. Not soon enough. What a night last night. Well, it really started the night before, was it? Thomas Magnuson scoring late in the game for Hearts. And then last night, the earlier kick-off, Celtic and Living going to 1-1. What a result that would have been for Livy. And then Oxlade Chamberlain scoring in the second minute of injury time. Is it written for Celtic? But actually, you know, as a Glasgow person, Mark, I was even beginning to think with Hearts the night before, Rangers then losing out as well, you think it might be Hearts for the first time in 60 odd years to win the title if they can hold their nerve, because Darren was on as well, a Rangers fan, saying just not good enough. He's disappointed, not sure. And look, they really like the manager, but is he making the big calls? Is he getting it right? You mentioned about the striker. What about Fernandes? Should he have been on earlier?
You just look at that's where, you know, when the results don't go your way, Paul, you know, supporters start to look under the bonnet. Yep. As we said a couple of weeks ago against Hibs, you know, I think a number of Rangers fans felt he picked the wrong team. He went too strong and against Porto on the Thursday night. You know, and I know why he's doing it, because you think, you know, trying to get that automatic spot into the Champions League. But you're only going to get that if you win the league. So the league's your priority, your bread and butter. So I think that was probably a lesson learned for Dani Rohl. The substitutions last night, I'm not so sure about. I didn't quite understand having Guidi and Chermiti on at the same time, you know. So look, whatever, but it's kind of like, it reminds me very much of the Philippe Clement situation. So when Philippe Clement came in, he inherited a situation that he thought Rangers have no chance of the title, and all of a sudden, when he took off of Michael Beale, he's clawed Rangers back into it. They then end up in the driving seat kind of late March, early April, and then it's the back-to-back games, Ross County and Dundee, that's kind of really put a huge dent in it. Dani Rohl's inherited a situation where you think, in terms of the title, Rangers are a lost cause, and all of a sudden he's got me back in this situation where, despite the dropped points last night, Rangers still have the title in their own hands. They win all their games, they become champions, they don't need any favours. But if it doesn't go to plan for Dani Rohl, he's going to face a bit of stick, Paul, like Philippe Clement did, even though he's worked a minor miracle to get to this stage now. But once you get to that stage, you're thinking, right, let's go and show. So Rangers, I think, in front of their own supporters on Sunday afternoon, there'll be 46,000 Rangers supporters on the ground. They will be looking, starting if James Tavernier, the captain, starts a game, that mentality to show we can beat the league leaders and we can win this title. We've got 36 points to play for. It starts this afternoon. We need to go and show that we can do it, because we can talk the talk and we can say this and we can say that, but you need to go out on the pitch and do it. And if Rangers don't win on Sunday, Paul, that would be them that dropped points in 3 out the last 4 league games. That's not the form of champions at the business side end of the season. Likewise for Celtic going to Rugby Park.
Yep.
But Rangers, they need to show that they can become champions, and if you're going to do that, you need to show you can beat the league leaders, Hearts, on your own ground. And then you've got Hearts. This will be their 6th game against the Old Firm this season. They've played 5 so far, 3 against Celtic, 2 against Rangers. They've not lost a game yet. They've had 4 wins and a draw, which is quite exceptional. And if Hearts can go and avoid defeat on Sunday, that's quite an incredible stat. And that is the form of champions.
Yeah.
That is the form of champions.
Charlie?
Yeah, well, listening to Dani Rohl after the game, obviously still a young manager. He's in his 2nd job. He's still learning. He's learning what it is to be a Rangers manager. So he's going to make sort of mistakes, and he'll learn quickly that he'll get judged on them at Rangers. But he said after the game, almost hinted towards it being a good point. Now, he'll soon realise that Celtic and Rangers got to Motherwell. It's not a good point anywhere. Wherever you go, you need to win the game. So there's no good point. So he needs to learn quickly that although he's done brilliant to get Rangers back in a title hunt, nobody's going to sit and pat him in the back and say brilliant, well done. Now whatever else is a bonus. Now Celtic, Rangers will want to see them really go for it and hunt down Hearts, and this is where it's going to be a huge game on Sunday.
He was asked, did he get the starting 11 right, or did he make a mistake?
I think general, this is sometimes in football, you have to pick the team before the game, not after. There were some things, Ryan had a little bit problems yesterday after the training. It was too much risk to start straight into. And then you have I said this with Tochi and with Tür and Skoff, 2 players. You have to implement them in the rhythm of the game. And I saw both games today and this on Sunday. I see this a little bit together, and you need the idea for both games. Let's see. Finally, it's just a draw, and we are disappointed. Yeah, of course, I take this.
Watching on YouTube at Aired05, he's saying, Charlie, you seem to know a lot about decisions that Motherwell should have got. What about the Chermiti penalty claim? Well, his manager, Dani Rohl, the Rangers manager, was asked about it.
Normally I don't speak about the ref, but there was a lot of situations. Also in the first half, I think 50-50. But I'm looking more to us that we do consequent our things, and it was in the first half. Then, especially after the 1-0, we missed a little bit the intensity. Much better second half. We were better organized. This is then also what I take from this game. Let's beat away today. Disappointed, but tomorrow we go forward and I go ahead. I lead my group again, and on Sunday.
Charlie?
I remember it.
Yep.
It took me a minute there to remember it. I remember watching the game at the time thinking, why is that not being looked at? I was surprised it wasn't getting looked at again.
2 players round him, weren't there?
2 players round him in the box, stood in the back of his ankle, kind of fell over. He was half on his way down anyway, but I certainly think it should have been sort of looked at again. That was my thinking at the time.
Yep, fair point there, Mark. That is the thing. Listen, it's tough being a referee, but that was one that Rangers didn't get last night.
But yeah, Paul, that's my point. It's decisions across the board. They're not going to get everything right, but then when you get the benefit of VAR, like last night, you could see, once you've watched a replay of Fadinger's tackle on Mikey Moore, I think it was. I mean, it's a red card all day long. So you get that right. VAR intervenes, but there's other things that are not getting right. And like I say, it's not exclusive to Celtic and Rangers. It's up and down. It's up and down the board. It's up and down the table. The standard is not good enough, and we've got our top 4 or 5 referees now in the country that have been established. They can't go on forever, and most of them are far from perfect as well. But I look at the new wave coming through, and I know they should get better with experience, but I'm looking at the new wave for just like basic refereeing decisions, Paul. They're miles off it. They really are. It's like yeah, you might know the laws of the game, but do you actually know football? And there has to be a balance.
Is that common sense
between the two? Yeah, just knowing a wee bit about the game, knowing the laws of the game. I get that. The laws of the game are the most important thing, but you also need to know the game of football. And there's just too many decisions that just leave you absolutely bewildered. And you're saying, well, you can't ever think that there's cheating going on. I would never think that's the case. So what is it? Is it total? Just some of the referees are just totally incompetent. And if that's the case, that shouldn't be the case, because why are they refereeing in our top flight?
Or is it if clubs then shout loudest, they get a response from the referees? Charlie, what were you going to say?
I think there would be nothing better if you could get ex-players to be referees. I don't know how realistic.
Why don't they?
I don't know how realistic that is, but surely there's got to be that out there, because I think there's not at any level. I mean, at any level,
I agree.
Because there's nothing better than having been in that scenario and felt tackles and given tackles. You know right away by watching that last night, the two fouls in Suter were never fouls. You just, it was like, why would you give that? It's almost to relieve pressure in case you have to make a bigger decision.
So will you sign up tonight, Charlie Mulgrew? CP Mulgrew.
Also, do you know what? I must.
A game, Charlie.
Why? By the way, I would do that. No, I must admit though, right? They must be feeling so much pressure.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not making excuses for them, but under that intense pressure, it must be hard to sort of make a decision, and a clear decision. But then that's why VAR's there, and that's why they need to take advantage of that, and that's probably that's obviously what they're paid for. But I think if ex-players at some level could go through the process, then it would definitely benefit.
We've said that many times on the programme. Laurie is next, but after this quick break.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
0808 17 17 700. Oh, what a championship race we have here in Scotland. No managers sacked today, unlike in England. I see Ange wasn't all wrong. I see Thomas Frank, he went yesterday at Tottenham, and this morning Sean Dyche.
Did you see the owner charging down the stairs?
Yeah. And he called some of the players in for a bit of chat. Anyway, Laurie's on the line, the honourable member for somewhere in the East End of Glasgow. Laurie, good evening.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Mark.
All right, Laurie.
Good evening, Charlie.
I'm demanding your resignation, Laurie. I think it's time you go.
I was listening to your traffic report there, Palm, and I'm glad this Laurie has been broken down. Anyway, I'll tell you my point. If the Blessed Martin can pull this off and Celtic win the league, I have to say it will be the biggest recovery since the raising of Lazarus from the dead. In fact, it would make that look like a warm-up act on Britain's Got Talent.
Steady. The views of Laurie are not the views of the Go Radio Football Show, but it is quite funny, and it's no disrespect. Yeah.
He's come on twice as a firefighter. Northern Ireland's rendition of Better Dare. And you know what? Here's the thing. The last couple of games, we beat Dundee, beat Livingston last night. It's been the late show on both occasions. And I would need to suggest, guys, that if his predecessor, Wilfred Nance, was there, we wouldn't have won them games. He has instilled a faith and a belief in this present Celtic side. I'm so delighted that he has came to our rescue this season. And we've got 6 additions to the squad, of course, during the window. Admittedly, there wasn't any money spent. 5 of them are loans, 1 was a free agent. But what a free agent last night in Oxlade Chamberlain. I have absolute faith implicitly in the Blessed Martin. We will win this league. The panel saw it.
Even though the way they're playing. But on Oxlade Chamberlain, and he was asked, why did you bring him on? I mean, it's self-evident now, but this was his answer last night after the game.
Love to tell you that. Really love to say. Did I think he might actually make a little bit of an impact even in the few moments? Yeah. Did I think he was going to score a wonder goal like that there? Not really. But I was hoping that he would add, just as you start, about a bit of calmness to the situation. We were trying when Livingston equalised. Then, of course, crowd get very, very anxious, and when we take 2 or 3 extra passes, there's a kind of a feeling which I'd known about way back in my time.
Yeah.
as well too. The minute that goes back once or twice, I mean, you can understand it, a bit of frustration, but you just felt as if, just exactly what you say, just thought he just added that wee bit of class to us, and even in those few moments that he was on.
He did. Charlie, Sriracha's goal, he took it so well early on. But what would you say to Laurie then? He seems really confident that Celtic will win despite the title.
I think he's spot on. First of all, his point with non-safe, he's still there. Yeah. Celtic are known as fighting for a title. In fact, I think they're probably fighting with Falkirk for top 6. Yeah. That's how bad that was.
It was shambolic.
Thankfully, a decision was made quickly on that, because I feared at one point when he got a result, it could have dragged on. Anyway, that's done. Martin O'Neill's come in. First game against Dundee United, that's the standard for me. That's the Celtic standard of a way to play. Now, does Martin O'Neill win that every single game? Obviously, everybody does. He's not had it since, and I think he's still picked up results, and that's not a coincidence. Last minute goals comes from the energy of a manager and what he brings on the touchline, the subs he makes, and that belief is always there. Great teams have always done it, but I think Celtic can play better, and I think as they go, they will get better. Oxlade Chamberlain coming in, the new signings making an impact, and I think once they hit that a wee run of form like they did against Dundee United, if they continue that for 5-6 games, or have spells where they can prove to themselves that they can pick up points when they're not playing well, score last minute goals. Then when they start playing well and taking chances, like in the last 2 games, Celtic haven't been at their best, and they've had 12 shots and 8 shots. 12 shots last night and 8 shots in target. Difference, as I said earlier in the show, when Hearts are winning last minute goals, they're having 2 shots in target. For me, it's a lot of luck involved, although they keep doing it and they're up there. I think there's more to come from Celtic, and I think Martin O'Neill has been unbelievable coming in, and if he does it, I agree with Laurie as well, it'll be his greatest League One.
But Laurie, Mark, you'd have to agree they're going to have to be better against Stuttgart home and away, Rangers away twice, because that's over a month since the Dundee United game.
Yeah, I mean, I know Martin O'Neill won't agree with this, but my viewpoint, if you're looking at Celtic, as Europe's a write-off, and I know obviously they'll go and try and win the games, or certainly win the tie against Stuttgart, but for me, you look at Celtic's run, Paul, starting on Sunday, 5 away games, Kilmarnock, Aberdeen, Rangers twice, and Stuttgart, 2 home games, Hibs and Stuttgart. So between now and March the 8th, obviously there'll be a clearer picture. The Celtic will either be in the Scottish Cup, or they'll be out. They'll either be in or out of Europe, and we'll see where they are with the league. In terms of Martin O'Neill, last night, Laurie, as you'll know, was his 10th league game in charge over his 2 spells. He's taken 28 points out of 30, 9 wins and a draw. It's quite incredible when you consider what he's inherited. He's inherited a squad that wasn't capable of winning. I didn't think be capable of winning the title. Low in confidence both times, and he's come in and got a tune out of them. Oxlade Chamberlain, the match winner last night. Yes, he'll be getting well weighed in. He probably could have got more money down south, but Martin O'Neill sold him a story. He's put a dream scenario to him. Come and help Celtic be champions. Come and play in front of 60,000. Come and help it make it 5 in a row. Come and help me. I agree, you have my sweetest ever title win as a manager if Celtic can pull it off between now and May the 16th. Because if they do, it'll be quite an incredible story. And when you consider the previous manager lost 4 games out of 6 in the league, he dropped 12 points out of 18, and when you think back, like I said, it was a monumental mistake by the hierarchy to get rid of Martin O'Neill when they did, because they effectively sacked a manager that had won 7 games out of 8, including beating Rangers in the League Cup semi-final and winning away to Feyenoord, and winning 5 league games out of 5, only conceding 1 goal, which was against Hibs from the penalty spot. So what other football club would sack a manager that has won 7 games out of 8? It defies belief when you look back on it now. However, Celtic are where they are. They're in the title race, they're in the mix, and they've given themselves a good chance. It's in their own hands.
Laurie, would you, listening to Mark there, it sounds as though the priority has to be the title. And look, and if you go on in the Cup or in Europe, fair enough. Do you agree?
Absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, Paul, if you'll allow me a moment or two to enlarge in my points of view here, I think that the Europa League just now is a distraction, if you like. We have to prioritise the retention of the league title. You know what I love about Martin, Paul, and as you know, I spoke to him at length in your programme several years ago. Mark was on that night as well. He's such a humble, modest, unassuming guy. There's no bombast with the fella. Where Wilfred Nancy is concerned, the ironic thing is that guy was an unmitigated disaster, and ironically, he's walked away with a huge severance payment. He's entitled to that. Celtic wanted to pay him off. I've not got any qualms about that. But ironically, he's walked away with a huge severance payment. It's the biggest heist, Paul, since the man who broke the bank at Monte Carlo.
Listen, you can't argue with it.
Is it a movie? And look, and I'll tell you another thing. You're talking about Martin O'Neill, and you spoke to me at length on this programme. Well, one thing I'll tell you about Martin O'Neill, he genuinely cares about delivering success for Celtic this season. He genuinely cares. He's carrying the weight of you and every other Celtic supporter's expectation on his shoulders. He cares so much about it, Laurie.
Do you think they're learning behind the scenes? Because they must be going, if Celtic don't win the league and Hearts are in pole position, Rangers are not out of it, then they have to sit down and go, do you know what, Keys, that was such a mistake. All the bombast, after Brendan Rodgers went away, and there'll be wrongs in Brendan Rodgers' side, but my goodness, he was right about so much of it, that out came the main shareholder, whatever it is, but the controlling interest is Dermot Desmond, and then he blasts Brendan Rodgers, and then his son blasts the fans at the AGM, and then there's silence. But do you think deep down they will sit down and say, mea culpa, they got a lot wrong, a bit of humility, and try and get the club back on track?
They need to their businessmen, I'm sure. I know Sean Maloney's in there, and he is very astute in how he sees the game. He's experienced, and he's worked at Portugal and Belgium, or Belgium definitely. He will understand there's stuff needing to improve at the club, the whole place. So no matter what happens this season, I think in the summer there's a lot of things that need to be put in place. Recruitment needs sorted, that's clear as day. Need to understand that and what the model is, and then let everybody know about it.
Because Andrew Kavanagh's in town for Rangers, the 49er Enterprises. They're not going away. Rangers are going on to another level, which Celtic have been at. And Tony Bloom sitting in the stand there with more money and with the Jamestown Analytics. The game has changed. Do they realise it at Celtic? Laurie, thank you so much for your call. As always, Politics Show will be back on Sunday. I always think of Bernard Ponsonby for some reason when he's on. The news is next, and then we're back.
Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Hour 2, James from Govan will be with us shortly. He was on just before the news. Coming to you in a moment or two, James. What a night last night for Kilmarnock, 4-3 against St Mirren. What a game. Actually, Killie were a goal down, and they were 4-2 up until the dying embers of the match. But big win for Kilmarnock, who are now chasing down Dundee, who lost 1-0 at Falkirk, and Ben Brogio brought up from Aston Villa. And Charlie, he got the goal for Falkirk. Danda missed penalty just towards the end.
I think I called one each in that game as well.
You did,
so
yeah.
Big
win for Falkirk.
Big win for Falkirk. Yep, keeps them in the top 6, and John McGlynn's done a great job there. We've spoken about him a million times. He probably doesn't get as much of the limelight because Motherwell doing so well, but he's got them playing lovely stuff, and a lot of the same players. He had Big Henderson and that, and back to League One days, Championship, brought right all the way through. So great, deserves a lot of credit. John McGlynn done well.
Scott Bain got an injury in the warm-up, so they had to make that change. Mark, what are you thinking for Killie last night? Goal down, and Killian Phillips getting a couple of goals. Greg Kiltie got them back into it, and then a hat-trick from Tyrese John Jules.
A great result for Kilmarnock, Paul. You look at it, back-to-back victories. Neil McCann and Billy Dodds will be delighted. Great drama last night at Rugby Park, and what they've done now, they've really pulled St Mirren and Dundee. So I'm kind of thinking 2 or 3 weeks ago, Dundee are fine. Stephen Presley got on that wee run with the 2 or 3 wins in a row, and now they've been sucked back in. Dundee United would need to win at least one of their games in hand just to get beyond. What the kind of clubs look to do, Paul, is get to kind of 33, 34 points as quickly as possible. And normally now you'll find 37, 38 would absolutely keep you up, keep you away from the bottom two spots. You just want to get there. But the way Kilmarnock are going with 7 games until the split, they've given themselves a right good chance. I think Livingston have gone, despite their heroics last night. They've gone. They're going to go. And you're now looking at Kilmarnock, Dundee, St Mirren, possibly Dundee United, getting dragged right into the scrap. And it's like we're talking about at the top of the table. It's anybody's. And you know, St Mirren, for being the cup, you know, winning the cup, you know, taking care of Celtic very, very comfortably at Hampden that afternoon, and beating Hearts, you know, just over a week ago. And now look where they are. Stephen Robinson, I think, will be concerned.
Let's talk Rangers. Let's go on the line. James is on in Govan. Hi, James. Good evening.
Hi, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Hi, James.
No bad.
Hi, James.
I just one thing to say about we are where we are because Celtic employed that Nancy character.
Alfred Nancy, yeah.
Celtic, and Celtic imploded. That's how we are where we are. So Dani Rohl has still got to show us what he's got. The Rangers fans don't think we are where we are because of Dani Rohl. So he's still got to pull it out the bag. You know, I'm not giving the guy any tip. I'm just reminding him he's still to prove to us that he's entitled to be our manager. And I don't know how long it's going to take him to realise that Chermiti's he's standing by Chermiti too long. So you know, listen, how Jacob's on that nail, and it's up to him if that nail becomes shaky or no. You know what I mean? Because we're fed up with giving people the plaudits, giving people the recognition that they're not actually quite due yet. I mean, the last night for him to make 3 changes, 3 subs, and in the last 5 minutes of the game, right before the subs were made, I saw him at the side of the park and I thought that's going to change your shape far too much.
Charlie?
I agree that the subs, he went to a back 5, and that when you've got wingers playing in the team like Motherwell did, or forward players that pin your back 4 back the way by making runs, then your back 5 end up you pinning your back 5 back the way, and then that gives you all the space in front. I think the cross comes for that, the chance right before Rangers' goal. Although you put 3 centre backs in the middle of the goal, the ball, which is meant to makes things a bit more solid and defensive structure more solid. They get a great chance. Boys got to score. Can't remember who it was. It was the new signing, I think. And then the ball recycles back out. Again, another ball in your box. You're maybe more solid, and it comes back in and Welsh scores. I think up until that point, Rangers actually were stopping at the source, pressing for the front at times. Although Motherwell had a lot of control, they were getting in people's faces, and they weren't there making it really easy for Motherwell to cut through them and get to the final third. But then at that point, I'm sure Dani Rohl looks back and probably regrets that. And James's point there is Dani Rohl's come in and picked up results and got Rangers to a point. But that's, as I said, at Celtic and Rangers demand titles and demand consistent wins. And that's how he will be judged now. He's got to sell in a right good position, but he's got to sell in a position now, and he needs to do something with it. Otherwise, the Rangers fans, they won't be happy.
Because James has seen it too often.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Beale went on a run, remember, in the early weeks, and Rangers fans are saying, this is it now, and it wasn't to be.
And that's what Dani Rohl said last night. He said he hinted towards a point being a good result, and I don't think that at Celtic and Rangers you can say that.
He was asked last night just what James is saying. Are you aware of the fan expectation?
Yeah, I think our fans expect and demand always a win. This is also what we demand. I think you saw today opponent, there's a reason why they didn't concede a goal since October here. You saw it. They are well organised, play well football. We tried our best in this moment, and until this final minute we were close to get the 3 points. But this is football, sometimes you come to a point where you conceded a late goal, sometimes you have to score, and you can score. We have to move forward. For me, it's now not about the world goes under, as it is after Hibs game. If you want, we dropped now in these 2 games away some points. It's not nice, but I expect really in this race that it goes a little bit up and down for all the 3 teams. We have to do Sunday a good game, take the right result, and then I think there will be again a different atmosphere. Today we should be disappointed, this is okay, but from tomorrow on we go forward.
Mark, what would you say to James and the Rangers fans?
Yeah, I mean, I flagged it up at the start of the show.
Yep.
James Chermiti now, he's not the number 9 that's going to win you the title. I kind of backed Röhl's decision to stay with him because of the 2 goals he scored against Celtic, 2 very different goals, but 2 brilliantly taken goals. But now, no, I think, you know, that could be the end of Rangers' title charge if you're going to go with Chermiti. So you need to just do away with him. Now, and Dani Rohl has been given the guts of £10 million in the January window. I mean, Andrew Kavanagh and the hierarchy at Rangers have really backed him. They backed Russell Martin in the summer, and they've backed the manager in this window. Now, I'm not saying he has to win the league, but if Rangers are not there, if Rangers are not in the mix, you know, right to the wire, then you would think, well, what are the hierarchy going to do? Do they think he's the right man to take Rangers forward? Because this is the best chance Rangers have had in a number of years, I would think, to win the title, James. I don't know if you agree. And Dani Rohl needs to show a bit better than what he has been. And, for example, need to win on Sunday. I think Rangers really, genuinely, if they are to become champions on May the 16th, Rangers need to win on Sunday.
James?
I agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, we never thought we would be here.
Yeah.
But now we are. I'm thinking, at the end of the season, we need, if we're going to lose this league, this title, we better lose it on goal difference or 3 points. That's it. Any more, it's a failure. I'm not saying it's a failure since when the season started, looking forward, and you've seen what Russell Martin done. I'm taking all that out. We're now in a beneficial situation where we can win a league if we get our stuff right. See, at the end of the day, if we don't win, if Hearts beat us at the weekend, our season's done. Funny.
What about Raskin? You wanted to see more of that from him, and you wanted him to stay on?
I want to see Raskin further forward. Yeah. I want to see Russell Martin. The only thing I agree with Russell Martin was the fact that Raskin plays too far back. He's an attacking. Barry Ferguson says he's attacking midfielder. Yeah. Barry Ferguson turned him into an attacking midfielder. So I've got to believe, guys like Barry. I'm a Barry fan, no matter what. But I'm a Barry fan, and at the end of the day, he's said Raskin is a forward playing midfielder. That's what I think he is, and I think he's doing the team a disservice by playing that holding role. When you're playing Celtic or when you're playing bigger teams that can penetrate you, then fine. But you don't play against every other club in Scotland with a holding midfielder. You guys like him to be forward. Look what happened last night. You know what I mean? That's what Dani Rohl should be playing him. And Chermiti, he shouldn't get a chance.
Yeah. I think now, especially when you've got Chukwueze in the team, he can definitely do that sitting holding role. If Barron was fit, then Barron would sit beside him. Or even if he's not, I think you need to put Raskin. And it takes a strong manager to put him up there. Barry said he wasn't too happy about it, but they felt that was the best for him. And Russell Martin kind of tried to do that and then ended up putting him back there.
But he did it for Barry, didn't he?
He did it for Barry, yeah. And I think a strong manager needs to tell him this is where you're going, because he's defensively, he's no switched on enough to play 6, and he's got a lot of energy and a lot more to give going forward, so he should probably be playing further up the pitch.
James Tavernier, your captain, was asked last night, right, what about Sunday, and what about the role of the Rangers fans?
The fans are always, when the place is rocking, it obviously makes a massive difference, but it's down to us to get that from the fans as well. They expect us to perform and they'll give it back in return, so it goes both ways. We obviously want them to be right behind us from the get-go, and obviously there's been comments about being if balls go out of play or misplaced passes, and you obviously want the crowd to get behind us, but it's down to us to set the standards and down to us to show the performance levels of what the fans want to see, and we obviously both have a responsibility, but us as players need to take lead with that, and on the weekend we need to do that.
And for James Tavernier, would you give him a contract again for next season, or do you want to do that at the end of the season, James?
I would probably say he's a bit part player. You know, we what's going on now and what we want to target, we are so close to contending, you know, every year for the title. I don't think there's a place for James Tavernier there. I know Barry's saying, you know, you can't beat experience.
Yeah.
I really don't want experience as a captain who's not won anything.
Is Sunday a must win, do you reckon? Here's what Dani Rohl said last night when he was asked, do you have to win against Hearts?
I'm honest, since I'm here, every game is a must-win game. I must say this. There was not one game where I could say, this is not a must-win. I spoke with my coaches and we speak a lot about this, and nearly everyone is, we need this one today. We need the next one. We need the next one. This is what it is, yeah. When you come from behind, there is a big task, but we did until now well. We dropped 2 points, but on Sunday is the next job to do, and if you want, we have to again. And hopefully we create a good atmosphere. We bring fresh players on the pitch as well, and then we go again.
Charlie, before I go back to James, what do you reckon? And there's a Rangers fan on saying, can Finlay Curtis do a Stephen Welsh this weekend and score for Killie against Celtic? And I was going to say, do you think Neil McCann and Billy Dodds could put them in bonus?
Just come back to Rangers, thinking about their squad here. When Dani Rohl came in, I think it was clear as day, did not rate the squad at all. Now you've got Chukwueze, Skev Olsen, Nadiri and Romans in. He needs to get these players in the squad, in the team as quick as he can, because if he doesn't fancy what's there, Nadiri's got to get in front of Chermiti. Romans has got to play. If he brings in a left back, he clearly doesn't fancy Magoma, although he's done a no bad job. Skev Olsen's a big sign, he needs to come in and he needs to play. And obviously Chukwueze's in. And he needs to get these players on and get them playing, because I don't think he fancies the other players that are there, and he's done a good job to get the best out of them if that is the case. But he's brought players and he spent money getting them in the team.
Was he trying to keep them for Sunday? And yet Motherwell, everyone knows how good they are. In fact, they're even better than we thought they were. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he's just trying to ease them back in. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but he needs to get them in the team Saturday. Peter is on
Sunday even.
Yeah. James, are you going to the game Sunday?
No, I'm there to support them there.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot there. Peter from Coatbridge is saying, wouldn't it be fabulous if Curtis scores an equaliser or a winner for Killie on Sunday? Don't rule out every other team. Look at Celtic game last night, because you underestimate other teams, Mark, at your peril.
Paul, there's no gimmies. You look at Celtic playing bottom of the league last night. They're going to second bottom of the league on Sunday, and I don't think we may say, Celtic will absolutely win on Sunday. No problem at all. Get Rangers dropping a couple of points here and there, 2 out of the last 3 games. So, but I don't think Sunday is a must-win for Rangers, because even after Sunday, there will still be 33 points up for grabs. Rangers could then, maximum they could get to is 85 points, and I think 84 could well win you the title this season, 84 points. But if they lose on Sunday, Rangers, I think they're done, Paul. And I know they've come back a couple of times. They dropped, I think James will know, 4 points back to back, wasn't it, at home to Falkirk and away to Dundee United. And I thought Rangers, that's done, and they've come back again, and credit to them. But if you're going to be champions, you need to win the big games. Dani Rohl lost at Tynecastle. They went to play Hearts. They beat Celtic in the league just after New Year's, but at home to Hearts, it's a game that Rangers really should be looking to win. And I agree with Charlie. If you've brought these guys in to improve your squad in January, get him in your team. Why is Skev Olsen no starting? Get him in your team. He's a big game player. Get him in there. So I think I'm not saying it's massive pressure on Dani Rohl on Sunday, but I think he really is under scrutiny.
I think it's about time Celtic and Rangers both stepped up and beat Hearts. Hearts are up the top of the table. If you want to catch them, you want to win. Hearts have the better of both Celtic and Rangers this year in the games. If you want to beat them, take matters into your own hand. If you want to get above them, go and beat them and give yourself a chance.
James, great call. Thanks very much.
No worries.
Cheers, James. Thanks for calling 08 08 17 17 700. James Tavernier said, look, I know we should have seen that game out. We need to do that to win all 3 points.
Yeah, and I think if you've seen the course of the season, we've responded. We obviously don't want to put ourselves in these situations, and from now, with 12 games to go, we can't really be having any of these situations going forward. So we've got to obviously show different ways how to win and see games out when they're not looking, overly our best performance. But we've got to see games out. and yeah, it's obviously a massive game at the weekend. Every game's massive, but it's at home, and we've got to really be on the front foot against another good team who have been doing well this season, and get the 3 points.
Yeah, 1-1 last night. He was asked, should there have been a penalty for Rangers?
I've got to be honest, I've not really seen it back. I know Yusuf obviously goes down, and I think obviously his foot was in pain, but I couldn't see it, so I can't comment on that.
And what about his contract for next season? Will there be one?
Yeah, look, I take it day by day. You know, if my wife says something about next week, about planning, I say that's too far ahead for me. You know, it's always about the day today, and then I'll wake up tomorrow and then I'll go from there. But I'll always continue giving my utmost for the club, and obviously for my family. Obviously want to see. I always aim at every start of the season is obviously to get as many medals as you can, and nothing's changed.
Mark,
he's been brilliant over the piece, and like James calls it, you know, in terms of, you know, how do you measure James Tavernier? Well, do you measure him purely as a captain in the silverware that he's helped deliver? I think that would be a bit harsh. You know, he's delivered a league title, a Scottish Cup, and a League Cup. Could have been, should have been more, perhaps. But I think you judge him as an individual, because, you know, it's a collective to go and win a title. Charlie knows he's won titles with Sami. It's not one guy that wins it. It's about 18, 19, 20 players in your management. So over the piece for £300,000, James Tavernier has been, for me, an exceptional servant to Rangers. Absolutely exceptional. A really good professional. I'm not saying he's a brilliant leader in terms of his own way of leading. I wouldn't necessarily agree with his way of leading all the time, but over the piece, he has been an exceptional Rangers player and representative of Rangers Football Club. That said, I think moving forward next season, I think Rangers need to be looking to upgrade on him. Now, I think the answer's in the building. In terms of Dujon Sterling, I think he could be a terrific right back for Rangers. The problem there is his attendance record is really, really questionable. And that's not his fault. It's just unfortunate circumstances. So whether you take the gamble and hope that Sterling can give you 40 games next season, or do you go and try and bring in a high quality right back? But I think now that in terms of Rangers and what Rangers want to achieve, I don't think that James Tavernier is the right back to help them deliver that going forward after the summer.
Charlie, you captain Celtic. It's quite a weight. He's done it for so many years at Rangers.
Yeah, and it's not his fault purely. Mark's right about winning enough titles. In his time there, he's won 3 trophies. Rangers want a lot more than that, but there's a lot of circumstances, managers, different things that have happened in that time, so it's not purely down to him. I don't think Dani Rohl will offer him another contract. That's my opinion. I think that he'll use he'll be one of the highest earners, I'd imagine. So you would, I think, just looking at purely on the evidence of when he plays him, when he doesn't, I don't think he'll want to waste the budget or whatever he's got in the summer on Tavernier. But I've got utmost respect for Tavernier in terms of turning up for the club. Playing every single match, never has a muscle injuries. That tells you about how he lives his life and how he dedicates himself to Rangers. His goal scoring record's incredible, so he does deserve a lot of credit. I just don't know if his time's potentially run out in Dani Rohl's eyes.
All right, messages coming in. Excellent programme, Mr. Cooney. So it's usually trouble, isn't it? It's got from Big Brian Sweeney, who's watching in Donegal, and he's saying, nice. Charlie, how was your reception the other night at Tynecastle? Because of Charlie, if you didn't hear it earlier in the season, he was like, they'll be out of it by December, by Christmas.
I said they'd be point behind in March.
Sure. You weren't alone, but they're serious contenders, and you're going to buy them a drink.
I was sitting through the window, and not one guy sort of made a face towards me. That was it the whole night. I was quite surprised. I went, maybe they don't mind me, maybe they quite like me. And then when the goal went in the last minute, they turned round and they made me know that they saw me. I'll not do the hand gestures.
2-0 they were saying.
I'll not do the hand gestures they were giving me, but I wish I'd videoed it. But I was so gutted at the time. It's hard to pull your phone out at the time. It hurt me. So I never get a chance to get the phone out, but it would have been a great video, just loads of Hearts fans. And then they were shouting in the window and that when they were leaving. And that's what happens.
So you're going to go and buy them a drink in Gorgie Road, but you're thinking about something else the other night. Are you still thinking of the other one, or can I say it?
But what
do you think?
Once I was, it was said on Premier, wasn't it? I'll shave my hair.
Oh, was it? I missed it.
Somebody suggested that I would shave my hair if Hearts won the league. Now I've not agreed
I
to
can
that.
recommend it.
I have not. I've not agreed to that one yet.
They said
because that would really hurt me. I'll take my time thinking about that. Maybe I announce that next week, depending on how the weekend goes.
You're getting worried now, though, aren't you? Although you still thinking.
Yeah, of course. There's nerves there, Paul.
Of course.
We're now what are we? 26 games in, right? And Hearts are.
Yeah, they've only got 12 games to go. Celtic 13, Rangers 12.
So of course you're like, well, it's not impossible for them to stay there, but you've got to judge it how you see it and how you feel it based on your experience, and I don't think they will, and that's and it comes down to the fact that they don't have enough creativity for me through the midfield to the front players. They didn't play well the other night. The more pressure comes on you, the harder it is to sort of score goals. The more you're the favourite in games, the harder it is to break teams down. Now, up to this point, they've done really well at they've done well at it. I look at the details of the games and look at how many shots they're having in these games where they're nicking goals, and I don't think it's sustainable over the course of 38 games, and that's why I think. But I don't know whether I should start changing what I'm saying here, because I don't want my words getting used as motivation.
Maybe it is.
Look at this guy that doesn't think he'll do it. Prove him wrong. I don't want that. Because I know what it's like when managers hang things up in the changing room papers and say, look who's doubting you, and look at that, and it gives you that extra bit of fire. Last thing I want to do is give Hearts players a bit of fire. But
give us one example of a manager doing that with you. Did somebody do it at Celtic?
Yeah, they've done it. I can't remember the details of it, to be honest with you, but it was hung up. Something was hung up before. I think it was an article for Mark Guidi.
Was it Mulgrew must go? You'll win nothing with Charlie Mulgrew. Was it? Or, no.
I don't even remember what it was. But I get put up there, and it does give you that extra bit of fire, because you go, oh, I'll show you then, and it does give you that. So I'm sure Dell's behind the scenes. I'm almost, I don't know ins and outs, but I'm almost sure Dell's behind the scenes saying nobody wants us to win this, and he'll be using that, and fair play to him. I think it's a good thing to use.
Absolutely will be.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing to use. I think famously Alex Ferguson done it, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Nobody in Glasgow wants us to do well. Blah blah blah.
The West of Scotland press and all the rest of it.
Yes, and it's clever.
We all get barred at different times. Mark, were you ever barred by Sir Alex?
No, but I've watched them. I watched them classic times. Do it in too long a story. I don't know if I've got time, but I watched them in action when he was Man United manager.
Okay, we'll tell you
a couple of times.
This one after the break.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Just gone 6:30 on Thursday evening. Paul Cooney, Mark Guidi, Charlie Mulgrew. Stories about Sir Alex and where you banned coming in a moment or two. But listen, it's not good news for Scotland. Harvey Barnes has been brilliant for Newcastle this year with the grandparent, one of them Scottish. He could have played for us because he hasn't played for England for a number of years. But the breaking news is that he's told Stevie Clarke it's going to be England for him. Guys.
It's a sickener. It's a sickener. Paul, I've said for the start that we need that pace. It could be doing with that pace. We don't being the only one, and he's coming back for injury. Hopefully he can be fit, but to have another winger or somebody with that pace at the top end of the pitch when we're sort of sitting in a low block or whatever, or defending our half and breaking away, would have been brilliant. But he's obviously, that's what annoys me. He's obviously kept Scotland there, thinking England's going to be first choice, and if England come in, he's going to go there. That's just really, really disappointing.
Mark, he would have given us a width that we really need.
He'd have been an exceptional talent for Scotland. Paul, a match winner, can take players on, a good turn of pace, he's got an eye for goal. He really would have added, some brilliant quality to the squad. That's a blow. Look, we've got this far as a nation without him. But I think going to the World Cup, your opening game against Haiti, he'd have been in the starting lineup all day long. And then I'm thinking, okay, he's chosen England. Fair play. Where does he get into that England squad? Where does he play? He's not going to play again. Ahead of Saka. He's not going to play ahead of Foden or whoever's going to be in your left hand side. Scotland England are overloaded with talent.
Because Foden's not guaranteed to play.
No. You look at it. Even. What do you call the boy at Chelsea, the skipper that's doing well?
Of course.
He's not even guaranteed to play. Bellingham, they're even talking about not getting a starting place. So look, he's obviously put a lot of thought and consideration into it. But I feel sorry for Steve Clarke and for the squad. They would have welcomed that kind of talent with open arms.
Maybe wish he'd knocked it down earlier, Charlie. But
Yeah.
Listen, it is what it is. Yeah.
I think that England have probably said, well, come with us. But I agree with Mark. I don't know if he gets in even in the England squad. So I don't know. There must have been guarantees there for the provisional squad, but I don't see him getting in. There's also the boy Jacob Ramsey as well. That's it.
Yep.
Newcastle.
Yeah, he's at Newcastle. Came for Villa as a good player. You're right about Bellingham. He's
Morgan Rogers.
Rogers.
Yep.
They've got so many. I don't know. It's just annoying that.
See, Ange Postecoglou spoke in the overlap yesterday, and he said Tottenham, they're not a big club. They don't behave like a big club. And he wanted Mbumo and people like that, but he didn't get the money. And he said he got 3 youngsters. Have you got some sympathy for him? I mean, he gave them their first trophy in forever, it seems
he has,
like.
and the fact he predicted says he always wins
That's
something
right.
his second season deserves a lot of credit for
And
that. And
Charlie said season 3 is all. It's like he said, it's like the Netflix or whatever. Season 3 is always the best one.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said when they were back with the victory parade in London.
What happened now with Thomas Frank will be playing into his hands as well. So he's timed that with appearance on overlap. Well, imagine. I mean, Forest is. I mean, who would go in at Forest? Look what's happened to Sean Dyche as well. They just. You get rid of managers for fun, so he probably deserves another crack at it somewhere. I just don't know. And I wonder if he's learned his attacking style down south, because it's he was very attacking and it didn't really work in the league.
Do you not fancy going back into management? Think of the payoff.
I would love the
we could be
payoff.
your agents. Could you imagine it? I mean,
would love
Wilfred
the
Nancy.
payoff.
I don't blame Nancy. Right.
Aye.
See, if you're a football manager, it was the year of the bluffers. You get somebody, get them in, and you get Tony Valenti. You get the payoff.
Think you can bluff me into a job?
I think so.
Tony Valenti.
I mean,
he's had more payoffs for radio stations than me and you put together. Don't let him kid you, Charlie.
And our next caller now is Kenny calling from. That's enough. Seriously, honestly, Hugh Keevins could make a comeback at whatever age he is. Hey, it's the year of it with Martin O'Neill. I see they're saying Harry Redknapp might be back in the dugout for a wee while. So don't start. Don't bandy words with me.
I'm just saying you're fantastic at payoffs.
I wish. That's just absolutely not.
What you want to do, Charlie? I think the real secret is Paul is you want to get shares, and that's the way you've got to get there.
Clyde was ahead of the game in those. If only I'd kept them, honestly. I know people who made $1 million or $2 of it, but that was a good way to do it. But there we are. How did we get to that? Mark, Sir Alex Ferguson, you spoke about him, and I said, were you ever banned?
I wasn't.
No, but someone was.
But yeah, I remember going down. I was at the Sunday Mail, going down to Old Trafford to preview the 1999 Champions League final, Man United against Bayern Munich. Before Sir Alex was Sir Alex, before he got knighted, he was just Alex. Anyway, and we've got down, and it was before Paul, even though it was a Champions, before UEFA really put on the big show and everything was all. So we're up down to Old Trafford, just going down to the Sunday Mail, only Scottish journalists there. The Sunday papers, and we're literally in a cupboard somewhere in the bowels of Old Trafford, and all the big hitters for English Sunday newspapers are there. And Sir Alex walks in, scans the room, scans the cupboard, points at Joe Lovejoy from the Sunday Times, who was a brilliant writer in the Sunday Times, a brilliant newspaper. Joe, your paper's banned, out. And Joe Lodge says, well, Alex, this again before he was Sir Alex, it's the Champions League final preview. You can't ban me from previewing the Champions League. I don't care. Out. That's it. And out he went. That's a disgrace, Alex. And out he goes. And then Alex says, with the door shut behind, he says to the rest of us, it was a warning. He says, and by the way, don't any of you give him the stuff. And that was it. That was the set. I don't know why there was a fallout with the Sunday Times or Joe or whatever it was, but that was an indication. And then back down a few years later to Carrington, myself and a few of the Scottish lads had gone down. It was Man United v Rangers in the Champions League, so we're going down to preview the game. And he was brilliant. So he's Sir Alex at this point. So the Scottish guys, we've gone in, and the front row of the press room, the training ground, is full of all your English writers. They're all sitting there front row.
They're all there.
Sir Alex comes in, takes his seat, scans the room as usual, spots 4 or 5 the Scottish boys at the back, spotted his great pal, the late great big Ronnie Scott, from the Sunday Post.
Dundee's
back then, and he's looked and he said to the English guy, right, you lot, up. Get the Scottish boys the front row. He said they go up, so we've sat down, they've had to go a bit. And then you just talk about the psychology as well, even in the media conferences, Paul, because then he says, so we've all sat, we've taken the front row, and you're feeling a bit bad, but he insisted, right, Scottish boys front row. And then he says before he starts, and by the way, at the end of it, come over the road with me to my office with our own sausage and a cup of tea, or the Scottish boy, and English guys are rage, and it was brilliant. It made you feel so welcome, and just always looking after the Scottish guys. So
Fantastic.
Brilliant. What a career! Fantastic.
Another scoop. He's some man, isn't he?
I would love to have spent a few days with Alex Ferguson to see how he went about his business. That kind of the way he's calling people out there, and the way the day-to-day training field. I'd love to have seen all that
He knew
stuff.
everything that was on the go, didn't he? He
ran the full place, didn't he? By all accounts.
Ross is watching. Listen, at the moment, I think he's watching in LA. He's loving the chat there, Mark. He loves to hear about that. So I saw him on this morning with Lorraine, and he's tuned into the show, and he loves it. He's given us some hints. Despite that, we're still here. No, he's enjoying it in the new set. So
nice.
Yep. Yeah. He's watching at the moment.
My wife, she was at the Strictly Come Dance at the Hydro on Saturday night.
Sadly, Ross not in it.
I know. What just was to say it? I thought it'd have been great if he was there with the Glasgow audience, but great show. Yeah.
Dancing on thin ice are some of the managers at the moment. If they don't, you could hear James earlier on about Rangers, and it is quite true, isn't it? It's been everyone's admired Dani Rohl, but it hasn't happened yet. They haven't won anything yet. And also, maybe it's because of the fact that he's not entrusting the players that he's brought in with enough game time. Now, maybe he's got a reason for it, but I think he needs to be bold, doesn't he, Charlie? Because he's only going to get one bite at this. Last night was huge.
Yeah, I think so. I think he needs to get them in. I said it earlier on, get them in the team and get you obviously didn't fancy the players before. That's what I saw. You brought these players in, get them in the team, and let them show what they can do.
Do you want to hear a bit from Martin O'Neill? We're going to hear from Kieran Tierney as well, and a bit more from the Ox, which is what someone called him earlier. Alex Oxlade Chamberlain. He certainly came into the mix last night, didn't he? And it wasn't a little mix of that. You did see a bit of class there, didn't it? He saw a gap that Celtic could have played for hours and didn't look as though they were going to score. I know that Marcus Pryor did well, but he had that magic moment. What about Engels though? He went off early on. He just something was wrong. He just went down. This is what the manager said about him.
If I was doing this for you on Friday, I'd be here. I don't know is the answer, and I need to speak to the medical staff. But if he's out for some time, that'll be a loss to us.
Is 200th game coming up for Martin? But actually, before that, Engels. Martin O'Neill gets the best out of him. Would you say normally?
You're not sure. If MD's going to get the best out of a player, it's Martin O'Neill. I just think that Engels was one that should have went in the window.
Yeah.
But again, we've spoke about it. That makes sense if Celtic have 3 or 4 options sitting in the pipeline, because recruitment's been done really well, and there's things in place with a model that has that backup plan. But clearly they never, and they had to hold on to him. I just think that it could have been a chance to take that money from him, but who knows? Forrest might come back in the summer.
Martin O'Neill, is this 200 league games? He was asked today.
Is it 200 league games? I was told that there in the interview. I didn't know. I would have got long odds about that there in about the 5th of October, of last year. Long odds. You wouldn't have gone to Ladbrokes with that one,
Mark, it must be 200 Celtic league games for him then.
It must be, over the course of 5 and a bit seasons. So that would add up, that would tally in it. And as I said earlier, last night was his 10th league game of this season during these 2 spells. 28 points out of 30. He's an incredible manager. He's going to be 74 next month. He's actually 74 on the day that Celtic go to Rangers on league duty on March the 1st, and now starting on Sunday, Paul, it's a hell of a run for Celtic. It's a kind of 6 or 7 games that makes or breaks you domestically, and if Celtic can come through it domestically in a strong position, then they'll deserve a lot of credit. Engels, somebody mentioned he was hobbling today, reported for training or for treatment, but I think now obviously it goes without saying, but genuinely they need to keep Callum McGregor fit, and I don't know and how you manage Callum McGregor in these minutes between now and this. I know you're going to have a wee break coming up, 5 or 6 weeks time for the international stuff, but Callum McGregor absolutely key for Celtic.
I would actually not have him travelling to Stuttgart. I would have him rested, out the squad. There's certain players it's going to be huge how he manages the squad. Now I've always thought Martin O'Neill's a manager that deals with that game and plays his strongest team. And I'm obviously not telling him what to do, but my thinking is you need to manage the squad. There's so many games. Come on, we've seen Rangers when they got to Europa League final that year, and they did everything, and they end up losing away to Aberdeen and it caught up with them in the end. I just don't want it to catch up with Celtic, and I hope they can use the squad well. They've got enough players there, so hopefully they can manage the squad well and get priority.
Who does the Callum who performs his role, Charlie, if he's not in?
That's the question, especially with Engels coming out. He was probably the most natural. He's no at it. That's the difficult
Bernardo's
thing. Yeah, I know. It's a real hard one to lose, but I definitely would do it in the Europa League games. That's where I would do it.
Okay.
I think that's one you can sort of give up on. I think. Listen, it's priority is the league.
It was a dramatic 5 minutes or so last night when who scored first? Was it Motherwell equalised at that point, and then the Celtic goal? No, in fact, the Celtic goal was earlier because Celtic kicked off 15 minutes earlier. Martin O'Neill was asked about Stephen Welsh after the game.
Stephen was. We brought him back first of all because we didn't have an extra centre back at the time, but he wanted to go back to Motherwell, which was fine, and I think he was stopped from getting leaving in the summertime. There was a possibility of him going to a football club. It was held back for some reason or other. Anyway, and I think he was disappointed with that. And I think the club saw in many aspects. He was out at Motherwell. He wanted to go back. He didn't really want to be like. If it came to the point about fourth choice centre back, well, we just had to wait until we get someone in, and we did very late on, and he's gone back there. He's really enjoying himself. He's loving it, and that's great for him.
We'll hear what Martin O'Neill thinks about the game against Killie at the weekend, and more from Dani Rohl. Ross has come on, Ross King from LA, saying, Mark, loving that. I got the hairdryer treatment myself from Sir Alex as a 16-year-old at Radio Clyde, asking to get Gordon Strachan as a Player of the Year for an interview, which he was. He was the joint winner with the late great Frank McGarvey. We couldn't have an Aberdeen player winning it, and it had to be somebody from Glasgow as well. So it was a joint one. Sir Alex apologised 35 years later. I remember it, Charlie. Yeah.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Well, top of the table, you know how it stands. Hearts after 26 games on 57 points. Rangers on 52. Celtic 1 game fewer on 51. And what about Motherwell on 44 after that draw last night? Hibs 39, Falkirk 39 as well. What about these games at the weekend? Dundee against Livingston. Mark, I'll throw that to you. First of all, Livy are all but down, but Dundee, as you mentioned earlier, getting pulled into it. Who do you fancy?
I'm going to get Livingston to get a scrap and make it a draw, 1-1.
Charlie?
I'm going to go 2-1 Dundee.
Going for a Dundee.
Yeah.
Falkirk against Dundee United, your old club, where you played just a couple of years ago.
All of a sudden Dundee have went for no man's land, thinking they're not quite going for top six. They're safe for relegation, to probably looking a wee bit over their shoulder, although I know they've got 2 games in hand on Killie. I think Dundee United are going to pull out a result there and win that 1-0.
Mark?
It's hard to see past Falkirk, Paul, to be honest. I like Jim Goodwin and want to see him do well. He needs a result, but I'm going to have to go Falkirk 1-0.
Hibs against St Mirren. Mark, your old team, St Mirren, of course, former St Mirren goalkeeper.
Yeah, they're sucked in. I can only see a home win there. Even David Gray disappointed with the result, obviously, on Tuesday night at Tynecastle. But Hibs to bounce back 2-1.
You reckon?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Hibs.
Really? Because St Mirren 3 away from home last night, 3 goals. Not often you do that and lose.
I know. Yeah. I just always get the feeling St Mirren are a bit in free fall. I just feel that they've. I always obviously speak highly of Stephen Robinson and that, but I just think that. Yeah, I just think they're in a bad way just now, and I think Hibs need a result. I think David Gray will be feeling a wee bit pressure as well.
Charlie, what about Motherwell against Aberdeen? The game that's been on and off, of course, the cup game as well. So what do you reckon? 2:30 kick-off Sunday.
Couldn't bet against Motherwell. Couldn't bet against them. I think they'll win it 2-0.
That would put them in 47 points. Mark, what do you reckon?
I agree with Charlie, and the scoreline 2-0 Motherwell.
Okay, so the big 2, Celtic kick-off at 2 at Rugby Park, Rangers 4:30. Mark, what do you think is going to happen? Killie against Celtic?
Killie against Celtic. Oof, what a Sunday afternoon we've got, Paul. Yep. It's fantastic.
Do you want to hear Martin O'Neill first?
Yeah, go on.
Here we go. It's very short.
A really difficult game. Obviously, they're in a good run of form now at this moment. It changes, and really expect a difficult match.
Kieran Tierney, what does he feel?
Tough game. Last few weeks as well, they've had good results, better performances as well, and it's always tough going there. It doesn't matter if they're on form or not, but now they're on form, so it's going to be extra tough for us. So we need to play well.
Mark?
Yeah, it's given me time to get. I thought the clip was going to be Martin O'Neill telling me to hurry up, make a prediction.
I'll tell you what then.
2-1. 2-1 Celtic. 2-1 Celtic.
You nipped in there right at the end. So, and do you think Celtic are going to go ahead? I know at the end of the day people say, look, it's the score that counts.
1-0 Celtic, 1 each.
Okay.
Celtic 2-1.
2-1.
Celtic to
Charlie.
nick it 1-0 midway through the second half and hold on. Couple of scary moments.
Do you want to hear a bit more from Oxlade Chamberlain about that win last night and his goal?
Yeah, massive. Whenever I go anywhere, I want to win, and I'm sure everyone in that dressing room feels the same way. That's just part of my DNA and part of what motivates me for sure. But first things first, just to get out on the pitch for me there and be able to help the lads, take 3 points tonight. That's massive. I can just build from here.
And to play for Celtic?
Yeah, it gives me a chance. Definitely, it's an amazing opportunity. When it came up, I didn't doubt it for 1 second. It's a long way from home, but even that was not a factor for me coming here. My family was really supportive of it, and you don't get chances to play for clubs like this. My dad's from an era back in the day where this club means a lot, and it was maybe back in that generation, the guys know a lot how much it means to play for this club. So he was straight away telling me, I'll get you in the car now, I'll drive you up there myself. It's an amazing opportunity for me, and it's a great start, but I know there's a lot more to it than just 13 minutes like you said there, and I've got a lot of hard work to do to catch up, learn a lot off these lads, learn the way they play, and then put myself in a position to really be able to help them going forward, and they'll be helping me as well.
So if Celtic win, as you both predict, they'll go on to 54 points. They'd be 2 points ahead of Rangers, as Rangers kick off against Hearts on 57 points. So, Charlie, what do you think is going to happen in the 4:30?
I thought he was going to say his dad's for the Gorbals.
I know, yeah.
Maybe he spoke. Big Dani Chamberlain for the Gorbals. I think what we on here, the Rangers game. I think Rangers are going to win that game 2-1.
Right. Wow. So you think finally, one of the big two, put them to the sword. So that would be huge then. 2-1. So Rangers would go on to 55 points, just 2 behind Hearts. Mark, what do you think?
I think it's going to be a belter. Ibrox, what a double header Sky have got.
See, before you give us it, we'll do this again. Let's hear James Tavernier. He talked about the fans at the weekend. He spoke about his contract, and this is a huge game for him. It's massive.
Every game's a must win, but obviously with the lead now on the table, it's a must win if you want to compete for the title. So we have to get the 3 points no matter what.
And any clue from last night's game?
Missed opportunity. Yeah, definitely missed opportunity. We knew it would be a difficult game. Motherwell have been in form of late, but so have we. We knew that they obviously like to keep the ball, so in that aspect, we conceded probably that we weren't going to have much of the ball, but then we were going to obviously make sure that we were solid throughout the game. I think obviously missed a couple of opportunities, really good chances, but yeah, we obviously have to defend better as a team and obviously see the game out.
Mark, what do you reckon then? Rangers against...
Yeah, I mean, missed opportunity. Rangers should have had 3 points in the bag. Paul, there's no doubt they should be breathing further down Hearts' neck. Really, really poor game management from Rangers with the man advantage going into the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. Really, really poor from the manager's substitutions to how Rangers dealt with it on the park. Hearts getting that late one on Tuesday. I think it's going to be a cracker, Paul. I think it's going to be end to end. Really entertaining 90 minutes. And I'm going to go for a Desmond. I'm going to go for a 2-2 on Sunday afternoon at Ibrox.
I was going to say, because Magnuson scored the other night, I have to hurry you. That was mastermind, but the under 30s don't know what I'm talking about there. It's going to be some game though, Charlie, isn't it?
It's going to be a great game, that one. A lot of pressure after the other night on Rangers to get the 3 points, and then Hearts know that if they go and get a result, they're keeping that lead. So big game.
Ian's on.
Interesting enough, James Tavernier there, Paul, not holding back, laying it on the line. It is a must-win game.
Yeah, no nonsense, no resting or whatever. They've got to go and give it absolutely everything, as Motherwell did last night, even when they went down to 10 men. OK, tomorrow night, Andy Walker and Barry Ferguson will be here. Thanks for all your comments tonight. Ian was saying, look, I love the chat about referees because it's going to be on them. There'll be so much on them to get it right in the run-in. Thanks so much. The news is next, and then Joe Kilday will see you tomorrow night at 5.